Hey guys, so for this one, it is Rogue's wedding day drama. Well, and the buildup that got us there. The more I do these stories, the more I sit there and keep thinking back to, the few months before my wedding as well as the wedding day. And let me just tell you, each individual thing in itself, very easy to look over. When you put them all together, it was a shit show express. So my now husband, then fiance, he had always pictured what his wedding day would look like with his bride. And he knew that I hadn't had one. And I'm not a girly girl by nature. I'm very much a tomboy, no filter between brain and mouth, as we all know. So he had told me he really did want us to have a wedding. Cool. Money was tight because I had been a single parent all through that time, right? So, anyways, I have a few quirks. One being that I really enjoy crafting of any kind. So I decided, because one of my other quirks is that I'm a control freak when it comes to something that I'm involved in, right? Well, we had decided that we were going to do everything ourselves, my husband or my fiance at the time and I. I did all of our bouquets. I did all of the decorations for the pews, for the reception hall. You name it, we covered it. And to give you an idea, so this is back in 2010, so almost 16 years ago. So, anyways, when we got engaged, I, of course, invited my best friend at the time to be my maid of honor, seeing as she was the reason that my fiance and I at that time had met. And she was ecstatic. She's like, oh my God, yes. No, 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 no. Her son, who was around the same age as, no, he was like 23 at the time, 24 maybe. He also got engaged. Well, we notified her in December of 2010. Yes, we got engaged very quickly. And I don't care what anybody thinks about it because 15 years later, we're still married. We got our bumps and bruises. We got a few scars along the way, but I don't want to hear it. Okay. Anyway, her son's wedding was going to be June of 2011. Ours, August of 2011, because we were going to get married on the day we actually met and started dating. That way, neither one of us had to remember another date. We had both decided that we were going to have four people on each side, yada, yada, yada. I even got so lucky when I was in high school in the 90s, early 90s. I had gone through this wedding album or wedding magazine, and there was a dress in there from Alfred Angelo that I absolutely fell in love with. Okay. It was beautiful, but we're talking back in 1991. And at this time, we're already in 2011. What would have been the odds of me being able to find that designer, that dress? I mean, hello, it had been so long, it wouldn't have even been in style, but I found it. Oh my God, did I find it? And for somebody who doesn't do dresses and things like that, it was the one day I decided I would feel like a princess because it's just not my thing. But if I was going to be that dressed up, cool, let's go. Okay. Now, my oldest daughter was one of my bridesmaids. And then I had my best friend at the time and another person who was a very close friend that actually became a very best friend afterwards, and one other person, and then my husband had his people. Right after my best friend's son's wedding in June, I get a call from her, and she goes, and now understand this is less than 2 months from my wedding. Now I did everything. Nobody had paid for anything. Okay. Even covered their dresses. Like there was nothing for them. I get a call that says, hey, I just need to tell you something. Check your text messages. Okay. Look at my phone. And she hangs up. I look at my phone and it says, I'm sorry, I am stepping down as being a part of your wedding because I don't believe you guys are going to last. So, hey, Christy, if you're still out there, fuck off 15 years later. But here nor there, I ended up having to rush at the last minute to see if I had another friend that could fill that position, that could also fill the dress that had already been bought and altered since we were so close, or at least have enough time to get it altered a little bit. Most of my friends are of the male gender just because I'm a tomboy. So I didn't have a lot of girlfriends to ask. Well, I had an at work husband who was amazing. He was one of the sweetest guys. I ended up asking him if his wife would step in, and I did get along with her, but there was things about her personality that I learned after the fact. I would have never asked. I would have never asked. But we have so many different things that happened in our wedding. I don't even know who I would give the shit show award to. So, first you have the original best friend who drops out right before the wedding and just says, because I don't think you guys are going to work out. It would have helped if you'd been around us to actually see us interact before you made a decision like that. But I get it. You wanted my help with your son's wedding. And then once you got all that, you got what you needed and you were out. That's why we haven't spoken since. Here nor there. Wedding day, the day before the wedding is a rehearsal. Now, my dad's coming in from out of state with my stepmom. His whole family's there. Now, understand, my husband's grandfather, who is also going to be officiating the wedding, is very much a Southern preacher. Okay, literally. And he was going to be officiating our wedding. I am not traditional in any way, shape, or form. Okay, my best friend was a very tall black gay man. Okay, that I wanted by my side as well. But I also knew we're in Texas. That might be pushing it too much, but we will not have anybody talking about what their beliefs are during our wedding vows. So, because his grandfather was so adamant, we had to literally write out his script of what the officiation would be. And yes, by the way, he still had to be redirected a couple times. But we'll skip that part. At the rehearsal, now, first, I'm getting calls from this chick, right? The one that was my at work husband's wife. And she's like, why aren't you guys here yet? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? And I'm like, where? She's like, at the rehearsal place. I said, because the rehearsal's not for another 4.5 hours? She goes, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to do some stuff in this town and I'll meet you guys there when it's time for the rehearsal. Cool beans, no issue. When everybody gets to the church for the rehearsal, she's not there. We'll call her Stacy. Stacy's not there. Okay. Calling her, texting her, no answers. After 30 minutes of waiting, I finally said, this is ridiculous. She's a bridesmaid and she's the last one walking down. She can figure it out tomorrow by following others. There's no reason for us to be holding this up because we had a dinner to go to after. So one of my other friends, who happens to now be the goddaughter or godmother of my youngest, she was there and I was like, hey, will you do me a favor and just step in here for a second for the rehearsal? She goes, yeah, no problem. We get through the rehearsal. We're almost done. And in walks Stacy. And she looks up and she obviously counts to where her spot is and she sees somebody else standing there, a beautiful blonde. And you could just see the look on her face. We all get done and I'm over at one of the pews getting everything together. And she looks at me as she goes, it is very inappropriate to be showing tattoos on your wedding day. So I got you this. She hands me a tattoo makeup cover-up kit. But bitch must be blind because of the tattoo makeup cover-up kit that she got for me, I would have had to have been blue-black for it to not appear. She literally bought me, which I ended up giving it to my best friend. I was like, hey, do you want this? And he laughed. He goes, no, it's even darker than I am. But the girl was just that. Now, granted, she was also addicted to pills, so that probably didn't help any. I was in shock. One, who the fuck do you think you are coming into somebody else's wedding area for the reception and try and tell the wife what you, or the bride, what you think would be appropriate and not appropriate for her wedding? And I basically told her she could suck my non-existent cock. Okay? Like, mind your fucking business. I didn't ask you for what you felt was appropriate. We were having the wedding that we wanted. So I was a little pissy that night when we got home, okay? And God loved my bestie. Because when Micah rolled in, he made it all better. Within an hour of being at the house, he's running around my house in one of the bridesmaid dresses, which is part of what I had truly wanted as part of our wedding, because he was my person. He was the best girlfriend I ever fucking had. And we had different tastes in men, so there was no issue there, right? Like, it was the best. So let's now roll to wedding day. Now, the place that we chose it was in the historic district in an area in North Texas. And it was like a block that had 3 mansions and a church. That's the only 4 things on this whole block, basically one on each corner.